Good evening, everybody. Love that sound. This reminds me of a funny story, synchronicity story from yesterday. After our reading thing yesterday, I had, let me get my teleprompter thing going here. After our reading yesterday, I had some things to do outside the house. And there was a road that goes up to this mountain town that's about 45 minutes to an hour, probably an hour away. And I haven't been up that road yet, so I wanted to explore it. So I had a few minutes before it got dark. I had some time, and so I drove up that road, and I didn't go all the way because it's one of these, and I just didn't want to tackle the whole thing in one shot. But I went up there, and there's a sign for this Zen meditation center up there. I pulled down the road, not too far, didn't know what I was getting into. Can I turn around? All of that. And so I just pulled back up, and all of those curves, every curve in that road overlooks a steep drop. I mean, these are deep ravines. And I could see down there, and I could see the gate, and I could see that there was this little temple building kind of thing. And then I could see that there were more buildings back in the trees that were covered up that I couldn't see. Do you know that this morning, when I woke up for the first time, the 2:30 wake up, that one, Robert Glasscock had sent me a video, no kidding, a YouTube video of that place. And he sent it at, I guess it arrived to me at about 11:30 last night. Unbelievable. The synchronicity of taking a random drive, spotting a Zen temple meditation center that's not 20 minutes from here. And then Robert Glasscock sends me a video of a guy that drove into the place, and then the video just cuts off. It's a weird ending of the video. So I don't get to see what else is there or what are the hours or all that. I mean, a phone call or another drive back up there will take care of that. But is that not amazing? What a synchronicity. I mean, just wow, incredible. It's like, whoa. So Jen, good to see you. And Kathleen Harkins, good to see you. A couple of folks that have been in the hot seat when we've been doing readings this past week and went really great. Kristen, hello, good to see you. Are you back home? Kristen's been on the road again. Hi, Diana. Great to see you guys back. Amelia, happy Cinco de Mayo. Yes, today. I after waking up at 2:30, this body is so tired that you just can't even imagine. So tired. I knew I was just running on fumes. And I mean, I caught up because I haven't been up for more than just a few hours ago. It's 5:00 where I am, and I have not been awake that long. So, whoa. I mean, I guess it all comes at once. But, oh, listen, we're going to talk about that. I mean, boom, back to our slide. We had two, not one, but two of those. Let me get two of those overnight. Yeah, we sure did. So we're going to be talking about that today. And I think I've got some cool stuff that we're going to be discussing here. So waking up constantly between 4 and 5. Kristen, glad you're back. All right, let's just roll on in here. And I've got this live on Instagram too. Oh, no, yeah, I've got it live on Instagram. We'll see how that goes. So, Mary Ross is over on Instagram. Cool. Good, Mary. Let us know how the experience is over there. That's great. Okay. I went to our Light Seers deck, and I noticed that the energy was a little bit soft, and I had something else going through my mind, and that might be why it was a little bit soft on the cards that normally, well, and I mean the one that I got, I mean it absolutely nails exactly what we're talking about here. But I did go back to the Bible. You know, the what month, 6 weeks, 2 months, whatever it was ago that all of that happened. And I mentioned that there was that old pastor in Oklahoma that used to open the Bible and read a verse, and that was God's direction. Um, I did that, and I landed on Proverbs chapter 20, verse 27. I forgot to put it in there. Um, the human spirit is the lamp of the Lord that sheds light on one's innermost being. And we're going to talk about our innermost being tonight in an electromagnetic sense from the sun, from the energy of the sun. But I just thought that that was so cool. The human spirit, think about that. Our spirit is the connection to the divine innermost being of our innermost being, that connection. It's let me rewrite this verse. There's a modern vernacular that we could rewrite this. Our spirit is the connection to the home office. Now there, have you ever heard that before? That's there you go. All right. Well, I did draw a card and there was definitely some energy around it. So let's take a look at this. It's the Three of Wands card from the Light Seers deck. And it says, the Three of Wands, energy manifested, waiting for the results of your effort. This is so on for tonight. It is so on. The arrival of opportunities, finally understanding your ambitions, continuous improvement and moving in the right direction, progress. On the shadow, not dreaming big enough, fear coming to block your movement, delays. Sounds an awful lot like Saturn, doesn't it? You've been doing the work, Light Seer, planning, seeing, learning. Watch for the signs that your dream is on the way. That's exactly what we're going to talk about tonight, because the signs are everywhere. Take pride in the progress you've made, for your past efforts have created the momentum that you needed to get the ball rolling. Today, you are moving through energy. Today you are moving through energy you created in the past. And being here, ready and waiting, is a milestone that you should recognize as a success. While there is still work to be done, know that you are headed in the right direction and you will see your big waves coming in soon. Time to get ready to go surfing. Put some Beach Boys on. When you arrive, you may not know exactly how to ride them, but you will be ready to learn how to ride them. Look for that new relationship, the new client, that lucky break on the quote unquote lucky, I should say, lucky break on the horizon, for the arrival is imminent. And the tagline, I am expectant and optimistic, and I know that my dream is on the way. Wow. Boom. That is awesome. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about, as Kristen referenced a minute ago, overnight, the sun has been incredibly active. And if you look, there are two spots. In fact, it's not where the circle is. That was just a drawing that they had put on there. But 3664, just to the right of the circle, you see, that's obviously a big one. But look up for 3663. That's the other big one up at the top there in that cluster of three. 366 is 1, 662, and then 663. And look at the dark spots. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6 red, and then another cluster of red. Those two, each one of those, 3663 and then 3664, produced an X1 solar flare overnight. They were about 2 hours apart. I was up for the first one, and I started my little manifesting thing, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight, because this was just some really big solar energy. Now, there is an article that I put in the Facebook group, but some of you are not in there, from space.com, that is entitled Solar Flares, What Are They and How Do They Affect Earth? And that article explains in probably the best, most concise, layman, easy to understand terminology that I've seen about the whole solar flare process, the flares, the CMEs, and the radio interference. So if you'd like to read up on that, it's an excellent article. It is posted today in our Facebook group. Now, this is one of my favorite books for especially intuitive processing. Malcolm Gladwell, it's an old classic written back in the 90s called Blink. And the idea of Blink, if you've never read the book, the first chapter is really the essence of the book. He tells a story of an art museum that was about to buy a painting, and one of their board members, just when he first heard about it, felt something was off. And the whole committee, the whole board wanted to buy this piece of art. And I think it was it was an expensive piece of art, but this guy just wasn't certain. And obviously the procurement board of a museum would be full of PhDs and experts in art, not only in the period, but the artists and the styles and the techniques and everything. And everybody was convinced that it was authentic, except one guy. And he went with his gut and objected, and they did further research, and sure enough, it was a forgery. So the idea of Blink is that it's the very first impulse that you have in your mind before thought begins, because once you start thinking about it, the blink is over. So I'd like for you tonight, if you don't mind, I'd like your help. This is kind of an interactive tonight, is think of your blink reaction to some of these things as they come up, because what I'm going to talk about is not any kind of more proven kind of thing. Go back and think of the podcast, how it all started, the year in the RV, and then learning about manifesting and The Secret and Bob Proctor and The Secret Science of Getting Rich, and then applying all that and finding an apartment and selling or getting rid of the pickup truck and getting a Jeep and finding an apartment and blah, blah, blah. And all that stuff started to kick in. To me, that's a direct correlation. I don't have a direct correlation on this yet. Still experimenting. So if you get a blink that like, whoa, I think you're off on some gnarly territory here, I'd love for you to put it in the comments. Please do. And if you say, you know what, this is resonating with me, I'd love to hear. And the other thing is you're going to hear is this is still in development. So the question is, okay, so we're having these solar flares. When we get a sun that looks like this, what do we do with it? And the basis of this that I went back to is a book that I narrated for Fred back in 2023. And when did I get it? I got the book in March, so it probably came out in April, called The Electromagnetic Self. And the whole idea of the book is that we are this electrical being, and that we don't give enough credence to that. We don't give enough credit to the process. So if we are an electromagnetic construction, then when we have these solar flares, this is kind of what it looks like from space. These things come out from the sun. The solar flare is just basically like a great big cough on the surface of the sun. And it sends these particles moving toward Earth, these waves, these emissions, these EMFs. But the Earth has its own protective shield. That's why we don't burn up. That's why we're not nuked like a great big microwave. And so we're protected from these emissions in various ways, but some of them get through, as you can see from the blue lines. And some of them are even in these circular patterns. So you can see on the right side there's one that's circling back, and I've been reading up on that. here in the recent past that these things do kind of create this circular motion. In fact, one source said that it's kind of like one of those yard sprinklers that goes around, and whirls the water around the yard. It's kind of like that. So there's this circulating energy coming off of the sun. Well, here's another depiction of that same graphic. So we have these layers of protection, and some of it gets through. And what gets through mostly affects radio waves. That's the biggest effect that is tangible, measurable, calculable, is that it affects things like the ham radio skips. That's why one of my favorite app or favorite websites for this is called solarham.com. It's now .com. It used to be .net. He moved it over to .com. Solarham.com. They're ham radio operators. And they're very in tune with this because when this kind of thing happens, their ham radios will go next door, but that's about it. It will not skip around the earth like it does normally because of this effect. The astronauts in the space station, for example, if they had a planned spacewalk and they were outside the space station, they would have to abandon that and come back in during those X1s, especially. The minor ones, not so much, but the X1s, everything comes to a halt. It can mess up GPS satellites, and that's not on the consumer level as much. Although if you've been watching your phone during one, I don't know if it would mess up the maps kind of thing or not, maybe a little bit. But the biggest effect is seen or demonstrated in radio transmission disruption. Now, if you'd like to get an app that shows this and puts it right on your phone, and if you turn the notifications on, you'll get the notifications as soon as these things happen. Space Weather Live is the great place to start. It's like the most concise. And they even have a database of all the solar activity. I looked up today how many X1s we've had this year, and we've had 10 already. And typically they say you'll have 10 in a whole year. So we're in this very active solar cycle number 25, and that's been known for some time. So let's see. Jen says here, my joints, sleep cycles. Well, see, and Kathy was saying that she was waking up early. I'd just like to say hi to Esmond. Good to see you here tonight. Thanks for joining us. Glad you're around. So, I mean, and I think there are different manifestations of this as well. I've mentioned I have arrhythmia in my heart, and I've noticed that now it's been very well controlled lately, thank goodness. But I've noticed that in the past that it can definitely, I can feel it. I can feel it in my chest. So I think there's definitely something to it. And Fred certainly put it together well in the book and very in depth with a lot of article citations. And it's a bit of a, it's a studious read. I mean, you'll get the point. That's, when Fred writes this kind of thing, you really get the point, and you do. So another manifestation that I've seen of this whole EMF kind of thing was something that I stumbled on, a couple of years ago, called the Bob Beck's Protocol. You can search it up. It's a PDF that was written back in the 80s. Bob Beck is gone now, but he was an engineer. He was an electrical engineer. And some doctors approached him with this treatment protocol. And that's what the PDF is. The Bob Beck Protocol is this treatment protocol from these physicians of how to heal your body from electrical pulses. And that's basically what it is. And Bob Beck never sold anything. That's why the PDF is available for free to download. What it has in it are the instructions of how to build the boxes that the doctors showed him. And I have 2 of them. I kind of bought into this kind of thing. And this was even before Fred's book. I think I stumbled onto Beck during COVID. I remember. But here is one of the devices. This is one of the Bob Beck devices. And you put these, so this is the brain tuner, and it's not the This is one that's an extra. But you put these clips on your earlobes, and then you can set the frequencies. This dial sets the frequency, and then it has a timer and the strength. And this is the device that I don't know how many of you are aware, but I have a vocal cord issue. I do. The audiobook narrator has a vocal cord issue. My cords don't close all the way. And under certain conditions, the gap can get pretty wide and the voice gets, basically it's gone, like it was after the webinar yesterday. Couldn't talk. I'll sit with this for about 30 minutes just while I'm doing something else. And it's just a little tingle. Doesn't bother me. And do you know that this relaxes it can bring my voice back like within an hour, which it typically takes an overnight sleep to reset. This does it in like an hour. So what it says to me is that this is relaxing because you're tuning. So like the thing that I keep it set on is basically the 7.83 hertz, and that's the alpha state, like Jose Silva's alpha state for programmability. So it's a little bit less than our daily operational mode, which is beta, which is up above 10 and 20 hertz. This brings the brain down to 7.83, but then I can also go to 4 and 2 and 0.5 is the equivalent of REM sleep. So yeah, you don't want to be doing this while you're driving. It could definitely but I can feel slightly relaxed at 7.83, slightly. If it's during the day, you're more amped up anyway, but it brings it down and the chords come back. So what does that tell you? Well, it's replicating that relaxation from all that sleep. Now, it doesn't reset your brain like REM sleep and all of that. Don't think it's a sleep. Oh, I'll just do that and then I'll just keep going. No. But what it does do is, I think, relaxes your body, and that's what it's doing to your brain. And they say, one of the benefits that they talk about is dementia and all that. And with something like this that has no side effects and is innocent, and I can see it or hear it or feel it in my vocal cords, you better believe I'm all over that kind of thing. I've got about 4 of them. Now, there is a company out there. If you search up Bob Beck, there is a company that sells these that they say that they worked with Bob Beck and they knew him and all of this. To me, they are ridiculously priced. And I'm sorry, I wish they weren't. But the parts of this, if you were to throw them together in a parts bin and start to put it together, are probably $25 or $30, maybe $40. So whatever they've got going on that they're selling for hundreds of dollars, this I got off of eBay, and it's called the Bob Beck BT11 Max. Bob Beck but if you just go on eBay or Etsy and search up Bob Beck protocol, you'll find some devices that are reasonably priced, and some retired engineer builds these. And so I've got a lifetime supply, basically, because and yes, I wrote them off because it is directly an income expense. So to me, that's another manifestation or reflection of exactly what Fred was talking about in this book of Electromagnetic Self, that we are electromagnetically constructed. So let me see what Melissa says here. Shungite. Yeah, electronics and shungite. See, I don't know that connection. I've tried that and I haven't seen any kind of direct correlation. And I look at that, but salt lamps, this is what I was saying though, is I want your suggestions like this, so somebody was saying, I don't remember what I said, sorry, but said it is true. I firmly, I've seen this work directly. Does it work every time? No, it doesn't. And that's probably because of external tensions and whatnot, but it does. I've seen it correlate and work. All right. So here was kind of my thought on this. Let's just play around now. This is where I'd like you to just kind of blink with me. Resonate or not resonate. So we're setting this up with that these bigger solar flares, these X-class solar flares that we, like I said, we've had 10 this year. 2 of the 10 were this morning overnight. And that Space Weather Live app, or at least their website, has this information. They have the top solar peaks of the year. So the bigger activity, we've had 10 and 2 of them were this morning. Go figure. I mean, this is strong. This is why I thought maybe we should spend some time on this tonight. So, as I showed you that diagram, as some of this gets through, how much? It certainly is not something that you just normally would feel. But even if it gets through, like you can see from this, it may not get through where we are or where you are on Earth at that time. Maybe it gets through to Europe and not the United States. Maybe it gets through to North Carolina and not Arizona. So these are all variables to play with. But my question was, can we harness these waves in our electromagnetic self? And I had a couple of points, just a couple of thoughts. Now, hit me with your blinks if you get anything here. First of all, it's going to be subtle, not going to be big and bold. But can you feel it? I think so at various times. Now, X 1.0, and if you download the app then and set the notifications to come on, it will tell you when the X's are there. And keep in mind, on a normal year, there are only 10. So to have 2 in one morning is just like really, really rare. Is there a connection? This is my next thought. Is there a connection between the sun's emission and, if you will, the cosmic source of creation, the home office, or the energy that causes manifestations? You see where I'm going, right? So I want to see here, Jenny is saying, my blink on this unique solar activity is that it's an extension of what is already being shown via the current astrology. Energy is energy. Exactly. We describe the quality of it and ascribe meaning and value to it through astrology. And then she says, of course, cosmic energies affect us. Lunar gravitational forces affect us. So don't you think that these EMFs are affecting us as well? And of course, the question is, how can we harness it? So it almost is like our verse, this, the human spirit is the lamp of the Lord that sheds light on the innermost being, is like, well, our spirit and these electromagnetic waves, in essence, are coming from the same source, are they not? So I had just 3 thoughts on what we could do with it. First of all, awareness of these waves in our body. And that goes back to Fred's book. If you haven't picked it up, I mean, and you're interested in this, if this trips your trigger, it's, the book would be worth a listen. It's not long. Put it on 1.5 or 2 and just rip it. But it gives you the awareness of how these various things could show up. And there was a chapter in there on healing too, by the way. And you could scan for imbalances in the field. Well, I pulled some images that Fred had, and I didn't get them in the slides. I'm sorry. But it showed our bodies basically in a couple of different ways as electronic waves. Think of like the audio that I do every day is recorded on you've seen a sound waveform. What he was saying is that that's an energetic wave. Our body is the same kind of thing. It's an energetic wave. So the point here is where we catch ourselves to say, whatever it is that I'm doing right now, whatever I'm doing here now, X, whatever that is, think of it. Whatever the activity is now, X, is that causing a balance in my field or an imbalance in my field? I could be recording along, and here's the waveform and talking, and it's just this normal, ups and downs, and there's the electronic wave. And then if I cough, boom, it just like this, right? Really big. What do we do? And the waveform is messed up, right? And I have to stop and take that out if you want to listen to it. Well, if here we are and we're vibrating, and then we do something, disruption in the wave, right? Distortion. That cough would be distorted. If I let that through and you heard it on the podcast tomorrow morning, you'd go, oh, because you're listening in the morning and and there's this crackle. Well, that's the point here, is that can we inject this kind of thing into our own lives by getting imbalanced? When I moved, I was imbalanced. Stuff happened. So that's one thought. Now let me catch up with some of your comments. Kathleen recently switched the, if you are on the iPhone, now that's what I'm on, but there are other apps too. There's one called Solar something, and just search solar flares and you'll get all the available apps and you can try them. And some of them have subscriptions and some of them don't, and all of that. But yeah, so, and it will make you aware of these cycles. And it is, and when I see them or feel them, I always check, okay, am I feeling it in my chest this morning? No. But and that typically, but I've got this under really good control right now, so maybe that's not the case. So Jenny says that she liked electromagnetic self. Well, that's awesome. So it must have shown you something about this whole process that was illuminating or enlightening, and I'd love to know how you're using it. That would be really cool. I'd love to know how you're using it. We are energetic beings living in an energetic world. What's interesting is this solar cycle 25, we're coming up, science, this is space dot, whatever that was, space dot, was it space.com, but nasa.gov has a lot on solar cycle 25 too. And it's supposed to peak in 2025. Peak. So that means we've got all of this year and into next year of this. I think and it's an 11-year, these solar cycles, any ham operator will tell you this, are 11-year cycles. So take 5.5, I guess, from that and go back. So if it's peaking, then it started somewhere around late 2019, 2020, and then it will start to taper down. So we won't be having as many, it won't be as active. And then I don't know if we get a break. I'm not sure. I haven't read out to the next solar cycle of when that begins, but we will get a little bit of a break. All right. So I think we're on a pretty good track here so far. So let me go to the next little thought that I had. When they occur, tune in. So just scan your body. Are you in any way connecting with it? Jen said that she was feeling muscular pain. Some have said sleep challenges. So are you feeling it? And maybe you need a grounding mat. Maybe that would help. Even if you don't feel it, and even if it may not be bombarding Arizona where you are, know that it is in the collective environment. And then I thought one of the things that we could at least do is put out an intention and send that intention out on those electromagnetic waves at the time that you're aware of the higher activity, the high level, the high M's, like an M5 or higher. And you'll see it on the app, M5 point something. It will say an amplified emission, solar flare. Or if you would get more X's, and certainly we will this year, do it during an X. Put it out on those, just like sending the same intention the way we do here. Because you know that what we've done here in sending love to each other, or when we talk about getting gathered around in a big circle and holding hands and sharing space and sharing energy with others in the group, that energy is flowing to those other people, and people, you feel it. Well, there's no difference in sending this out as well. So I thought that what we do now is let's just do that very thing in our meditation this evening. Is let's connect with our environment, even though those X flares are long gone and the emissions are not bombarding Earth right now. They've been here. So as we tune in, just scan up and down your chakra line, the energetic center of your own body. And let's tune into this with an Om together, and especially just thinking up and down your own chakras. Feel where this Om is wanting to sing from as we do it together. And now, feel into your body, just connecting with the physicality of how you are doing you during this incarnation on Earth. Are there any imbalances? Maybe a lack of sleep. Maybe an emotional issue in your life that's caused a disruption. Maybe there's a Zen center 20 minutes up the road. You need to go meditate in nature. See if there anything just shows up, like you'll know. And then see if you can feel into that. Just see if there's anything electromagnetic that you feel into. I don't know what it would feel like, but just see if anything shows up. Or set the intention that you're going to learn more about it and learn how to tune into it and to apply it. And now let's try to connect with each other through this electromagnetic energy. Because if I'm a wave and you're a wave, and Kristen's a wave and Jenny's a wave, and Jen's a wave and Kat's a wave, and you see what I'm saying? Just put out that electrical vibration with the intention that those who are present here of like mind and willing to open their electrical field, that we can connect. I don't know if you just felt something right there, but I sure did. Some of you are opening your heart. Proverbs 20:27. It did feel like a plug-in right there. There's a wow. So with that, let's share connection. And then, since those energies are connecting with others, can you drop an intention or a manifestation or something that you'd like to see show up in your life into that connected field? I'm going to put the one that I had from this morning that I put in my notes. I'm keeping a special journal on just this. So I'm going to drop my intention in, you drop yours in, and let's hold them together in this same interconnected energetic field. And now, behind the intention, send love for each other, investing outside of yourself, not inside. So the intention is yours, the love is a gift. Send it out to the field. So all who are plugged in, just like the electrical source comes into your house and you can plug in anywhere. The source is there, plug in. We're together. Boy, there's almost a feeling of comfort here. Wow. Okay, new way of connecting. Electromagnetically. Keep the circuit high. High vibe, lots of love. Floating those intentions up. And now let's bring them into a beam of white light. And from our circle, send that white light up into the sky. Riding those manifestations right on up and out. Back to source for fulfillment. That is a really cool meditation, isn't it? Wow. Let's close with an Om together. Om. Man, I would love to play with this some more. There's something going on here. This is like really cool. I'm going to be working with some folks who are like-minded this week. I'm going to figure out what to do with this, but you play with it too. And if, thank you. I agree. Prosperity and peace to all. If something shows up for you this week, if you get an aha, and if you're in our Facebook group, drop it in there. And if you're not in our Facebook group, the best way to get a hold of me by connection there is the funastrology.com website. And in the bottom right is a little chat bot, and it just sends an email. It's basically an email connection. If you would hit me there, that would be just great. I'd love to hear what shows up for you and how this plays out. And then I think I'm going to try to find some like-minded folks who might play with me this week on this. I think this would be a lot of fun. And who knows what kind of solar activity we'll have. We still have, look at the map here, the 62, 63, those are going to move away over the next couple of days. You'll see them move to the right without, like, not in a direct correlation with Earth, but 36, 64 will be moving front and center. And it looks like when it sends stuff out that it's going to be pretty close to a direct Earth hit. If not direct, just miss it to the south a little bit below us. And then 3660, ooh, 3666. Look, it's got a couple coming off of that one too. So yeah, it could be a pretty busy week, that for sure. So we'll see how it plays out. We'll watch it, and I'll be posting some of this if things do show up in the Facebook group. So if you're not in our Facebook group and you'd like to, if you're in Facebook, come to Fun Astrology. Let's see, Subconscious Mind Mastery and Fun Astrology podcast listeners in Facebook. Answer the 4 questions, and we'll gladly let you join there, and we'll just keep up with it in that little group amongst us, just chatting. So yeah, this was really cool. I mean, I felt a direct plug-in when we were like sharing all of our energy. That was really wow. Okay, well, here, this is why Electromagnetic Self was Jenny Geyer's favorite book. There you go. That was something else. Wow. Good deal. Well, glad you enjoyed it. Like I said, we were just playing tonight. Had no idea where it was going to go, but it looks like it went to good places. So, woohoo, we got a new one. We got a new tool we can put in our toolbox. So I think so. Let's figure out together, though, some really good ways to apply this, and I would welcome your thoughts. So thank you guys for being here. This has been really, really fun, and I hope you have a great week. We've got a good, nice Taurus grounding energy tomorrow. Listen to the Fun Astrology podcast. It's not much about astrology because there's not much going on, but it is about grounding. So we can talk about that. And thank you guys for being here. I love you so much. Really appreciate it. And have a great week. And we'll see you guys back next weekend. Thank you so much. I love you. Bye-bye.